So I love history. History is one of my favorite topics just on the planet. I love it. I love everything about learning about the past, right? One of my favorite trios of games is only a trio in theme and mechanics, not so much in, a continuous story, except it kind of is, and that would be 1960, Twilight Struggle, 1989. Not released in that order, but they're all about history, diving into these dates and really exploring them. Well, sometimes you don't always have time for a deep dive into a historical game, but you still love the idea of doing history or trivia. And a lot of people don't want to play Trivial Pursuit. So what's a good medium that you can find to get people to play a game with you if you like trivia, or even if you don't like trivia, to where you can compete and keep up with, because everyone's familiar with at least something in this game? And that would be Timeline. Timeline is a fantastic party-ish game that really was introduced to us when we first got into gaming pretty heavily with our friends. They would come over and, we were playing Ticket to Ride, Catan, however you say. We still say Catan. I'm aware that it's wrong, but you know what? It's just one of those things, tomato, zucchini, you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. We started playing Timeline about that same time, so it has a kind of a good feel for us nostalgically, but it also, I just enjoy the game. So let's take a look at what Timeline is, how you play it. I'm also going to give you a variant you can play with your friends to play it co-op, which is interesting. And we'll see where it goes from there, and then come back up and do final thoughts, all that sort of stuff. I'm Bryan Drake on the Dice Tower, the latest retro. Let's look right now. So what is Timeline? Timeline is pretty simple. Basically, it's a 10 full of cards. This is the Americana version. I also have the Science and Discovery down there. This card is bad. Throw it away. Bald eagle becomes the national bird. 1570. That's really problematic. You can figure that out why. What you do is you have a ton of these cards over here. One side has dates on them, same picture. One side does not. You obviously do not want to show the side of the date yet, considering that's how the game is played. What you do is you give everyone a set amount of cards. You can stretch the game out by giving them more cards, or you can give them less. Typically it would be 4 or 5. You then take one card, sit it in the middle, and flip it over. So 1914, this is the first automobile mass production assembly line. You'll then look at your cards, keeping them face down, obviously. Miracle on 34th Street, the film. Bob Dylan releases his first album. Okay, that's not on the first album, I'm aware. Also, what happened, right, between oh gosh, times they are changing, and Lay Lady Lay. Who is singing now? Like, that's not even the same guy. And then, hey, we're gonna make his farm no more. I mean, what is the deal? Anyway. Samuel Colt introduces the first revolver, and then Happy Days' first air. So Samuel Colt revealed the first revolver. Obviously, the 1911 Colt was a semi-automatic pistol, so it's clearly before then, and you can see the picture. So you would put this, it's to the left, to the previous part of 1914. I want to say it's 1858, 1835, even older. Wow, nice, Samuel Colt. So you have a gap now. So then you look at these cards. Well, Happy Days obviously came out after the model early production line, so you would put it over here. Yep, I'm right. Now let's just say you were wrong. Let's just say you thought that Bob Dylan really was as old as he sounds now, and you said, well, maybe he was born or did his first album in 1913. Oh, 1961, I'm wrong. Well, what you do is you take a card off the stack and keep it face down, obviously, and then you just have another card in your hand. The winner is the first one who's out, and then you play for second, play for third, and that's it. That's really the game. I cannot explain any more than that. That is the whole game. But it's really great because there's so many, and just in the Americana alone is, Moby Dick published, first USA Today printed later than you think, but you can see on the ads it's clearly meant to be 80s, I want to say 82. Major League Baseball, Space Shuttle Fleet. You can see all the pictures really kind of help you out too. Yale University founded 1721. 1701, I was close. America is the first applied to the New World. Obviously Vespucci in the 1500s, 1507. I'm not showing off. I'm just saying, that these are good cards. And you can learn something. You can learn a little bit about history just by playing this game. Bruce Jenner wins the Olympic decathlon. Who? All kinds of stuff throughout history here. So that's it. That's all you do. You have a hand of cards, and you try to figure out if your hand of cards came before or after the one that's out there. Or as the game gets further and further, you have to figure out if it came between 1787 and 1788. It's like one of those ones that could be both. or 1789, I should say? Or is it like the invention of the movable type printing press and the invention of Mickey Mouse? Well, you know there's a pretty big gap in between there, right? So it's really interesting because, like I say, you don't have to be good at history or trivia to be pretty adequate at this game. You can just figure it out, and the clues from the visuals help it too. So you gotta love that. I love how this game plays, though. I love the fact that it's just very casual. You can just hang out outside and play this. You can play it. It's a great board game cafe game. It's a great even on the airplane type game. Again, yes, you have the whole issue of tray tables and stuff, but you can lay them out to where they're in a grid if you had to. But I love how this game plays because it's so simple, right? You have your cards, you lay them out, guess the date. If you're right, great, you move on. If you're wrong, you draw another card, and first one out, that's it. So it's not really player elimination, it's playing for places. So that's really how you play the game. I love it. I think you should pick up Timeline. You should own at least one of the genres. Now I have here Americana and what's the other one I have? Science and Discoveries, which is insanely hard. Andy and Jordan have the movies and music, which is also really great. The cool thing is you can just mix all of them together if you wanted. So if you had this Americana one, you could mix it in with the movies and music and really kind of just get the best of both worlds. Or some of the more, kind of thinky, historically, politically ones, you can mix those together and get the best of both worlds like that. So a lot of variation. Now, about the variant I was going to mention, we were outside hanging out the other night on my porch, and it was Justin and James, myself, and Jace, and we were playing just quick Timeline while hanging out. In this, we decided, okay, let's try a hand like this. So if you get 4 cards each, that's what we were playing, 4 cards each and 1 in the center, that's 17 cards for 4 of us. So we took 17 cards out of the deck, we laid them all in front of us, face down obviously, and we just together as a team tried to line up the entire row in perfect order, and then seeing how many we missed as a group. I think we ended up missing like 3 or 4, something like that. So it was way harder than it looks, because instead of dealing with 4 cards, well, now you're dealing with 17 cards that are yours, and you start getting things like, well, the invention of the NFL versus the combination of the leagues of professional football, and these weird ones that are kind of tough like that and obscure. It becomes even harder, but it's fun because you're working with a group and you can pull off each other's knowledge. So just try it out. It's a fun variant you can play the game with, do it a little co-op, and just there's no real score sheet to go against. I'm sure BGG has got one where you can look up and say you're an ignoramus for getting those numbers. But that is Timeline. I love it. I think you should get it because it's so cheap. It's so small and so easy, but it packs a great punch. Pack small, play big. That's how we feel when it comes to Magic and Illusions. That's one of the things we like in gaming, is pack small, play big. So that is Timeline, the series. Make sure to go check these games out. You can get them, really cheap, really easy. They come in a 10 is my only gripe. I hate 10s. But that's it. I'm Brian Drake here on the latest retro for the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and all that sort of stuff. And until then, we'll see you.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching the Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is